Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of In the Driver's Seat with dubizzle. We're back here in the hub and we have another special guest with us who is a fan of Mustangs and maybe some other Fords as well. But let me introduce the special guest because Shaaid is here. And Shaaid, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And well, this is your first time experiencing the dubizzle Cars Hub. What do you think?
I think it is simply amazing. The venue itself is great. The selection of cars is brilliant. I've just had a little while to walk around the hub, but everything looks amazing so far.
So what's been your favorite part of the hub so far that you've seen?
The favorite part of the hub, I would say, well, just kind of like the favorite idea, my favorite part of the hub, I guess, would be just sort of like understanding how in-depth the dubizzle inspection goes and how they're sort of like helping people in the community learn more about their cars before they actually buy them. And this is something that, as we discussed before, that a lot of people aren't aware of. So it's just amazing that, you know, you've taken this like next step into like doing an extensive checkup of cars before it goes out to the end user, so they can actually have these cars and have that peace of mind rather than just buying a car off, you know, without inspecting it whatsoever, and then it breaking down a couple of months later and then having no idea about, what happened.
And it's incredible how much has changed over the past couple of years, because a lot of people would just go in and buy a second-hand car thinking it looks great, it sounds great, all the pieces are where it should be for the time being. I'm going to buy this car without checking in any detail whatsoever. I mean, every time I bought my car, I've said this a number of times before, I've always gone in like that. I've never gotten an inspection done on any car in my life, except once I did, and that was because I was going to buy a Ford Show, and I didn't buy it because I was stupid. But I was one of those people, and I actually learned the hard way once why you should get an inspection done, because on paper the car looks fine, and yes, the gentleman selling it to me told me everything that was correct about the car, but a couple of months later I found out it wasn't.
Yep, that literally happened to me when I initially moved to Dubai, probably 12 years ago, and I was buying my first car. I had no idea, and there was no system out there that really educated me on the steps to take before actually buying a car. So I bought my first two cars, and a couple of months later I had these issues that were unheard of. And that's why this is so amazing, being at this dubizzle Cars today, seeing how you do your inspections, meeting the team of like extreme professionals who know what they're looking for, and having that peace of mind as an end user as well. And that's what you're trying to pretty much portray to your clients, and we appreciate that.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, as inspection is only a small part of what we do here at dubizzle Cars, because of course we're here to make the buying and selling experience that much easier. If you get an inspection report with any car, you can use it in two ways. I know we always say this, but it's a great bargaining tool on both sides of the coin. So if you're selling a car, you know more about the car, you can point out the faults or things that have been changed, and you can use it as a tool to lower the price.
Correct.
If you're selling the car within an inspection report, you can use it again as a tool to get a better price or even a higher price, because you can prove that this is what you've done to the car, this hasn't happened to it, it hasn't been hooned, it hasn't been changed, the engine hasn't blown, the engine is all original. So,
Correct.
An inspection report is vital in this day and age.
It is indeed, and I can't agree with you more. It is like, my wife was looking to buy a car recently as well, and if I had known about dubizzle Cars prior to this, I would have probably bought the car here for the first thing. But now that I'm aware, my next purchase, I'm definitely going to get it inspected by you guys.
Well, here's the thing. If you're not happy with the car that you've purchased, what car is she purchasing at the moment?
Mazda.
Okay, which one? Mazda 3, 6?
6.
6, okay,
Yes.
it's a good sedan. If you're looking to sell it,
Yes.
feel free to come in. We have now buyback guarantee as well. So if you're looking to sell a car, you can sell it to us. We do have the cash in service. We also have a trade-in facility as well, which we've recently launched. So if you're looking to sell your car and you've maybe got your eye on something, sorry, I've got a terrible bronco cough here. If you want to trade it in, you can use it as credits to get your next car here.
Oh, that's
a car. So we're always looking at ways to expand and make it that much easier to sell a car here as well.
That is just simply amazing. Yeah, I was just learning about the process of how easy and convenient it is to buy and sell a car through dubizzle, or through dubizzle Cars rather. And I'm excited to have been a part of this journey and sort of like looking forward, you know, to how this could be helpful to the community, to people in general in Dubai or the UAE that are looking to buy or sell their cars in the easiest and fastest way possible.
So let's deviate from the subject of dubizzle now, and let's talk about more muscle cars. I'm a fan of muscle cars. I'm actually a Mopar household, except I'm the only person that doesn't own a Mopar. I did own one before, but you know, she doesn't have one either anymore. There's only one Mopar in the house, so I'm a bad Mopar house, essentially. We've got one. That's enough for the time being, and yes, I need to get a 300 at some point. I'm keeping my eye out for that. But you're on the other side of it because you're into the Mustang, you're into Ford, aren't you?
Yes, I am indeed. So when I bought my first car, I was 21 years old. I bought myself an import V6. I was on top of the world. I was driving I didn't look at any other car. There was no other car more beautiful than mine. She was the prettiest of them all.
I can relate to this 100%. Do you want to know the first car I bought?
What did you buy?
I was elated with this because I've always liked them. I bought a Volvo V70.
Wow.
That's how cool I am.
Yeah.
I didn't go for the muscle cars. I went straight for a wagon. Or sorry, as people used to call it then, a hearse. So tell us about the experience of owning a Mustang, because that was your first.
Yes.
Then you had a second, and now you have a third.
Yes. It's sort of a thing now. Like I've driven, I've been around pretty much all of the new muscle cars, the old ones, all of the other muscle cars apart from Mustangs. And for some odd reason, I'm just tied to the Mustang. I'm like linked to it. And if you ask anybody that knows me, they're like, oh, Shaaid, you mean the Mustang guy? Like, you know, like I have that little like saying it. Like.
So that's how I knew you were coming, right? So I sit outside and I wait, because obviously the weather now is beautiful at the moment. So, you know, sitting outside is not a problem. And I could hear you 2 roads away. And that's how I knew you were arriving, because all I could hear is and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, this gigantic black and red Mustang appears out of nowhere.
Yes. She is one of a kind. It's the only Cherokee wide-body Mustang here right now. I've been building that car for quite some time now. Initially, I was building it for performance, like all naturally aspirated, full bolt-on system. But then I saw how good the wide-body might look, and especially because I have an air suspension as well. I was like, all right, maybe the next step for me is to go wide. But yeah, I've had Mustangs over the last, I would say, 8, 9 years, if not. And irrespective of like, you know, any other car in general, I'd always keep my Mustang and then inquire, like I would potentially be looking at buying a car as well. And now that I've been more like educated and I'm aware of what dubizzle cars has to offer, I might potentially be, you know, one of your upcoming clients to buy a daily.
We'll have to figure out a way how we can get some Mustangs in it, because we do have them from time to time. Mo Vlogs came in and actually bought one from us. We've got a California special. But they tend to sell pretty fast, because you're not the only one that likes the Mustang. It seems to be the Mustang is the most important. I know it hurts me to say that. I'm more of, I prefer the Challenge over it, but no one really wants a land yacht. They want something that's a bit more nimble, you know? That may be easier to run as well, I'll be honest here. But let's go a little bit more controversial here. The Mark E. What do you think about it?
That's a very interesting question. I would say I'm kind of like on a neutral stage, because I've seen how it drives, and the amount of like power that little car has is like out of this world. But then I'm still a hardcore, I would say, petrolhead. I need that V8 rumble, else I'm not going to be enjoying driving anything.
And that's what that Mark E had, right? And we saw one down in Sharjah. We did a video on it a couple of weeks ago. And it's so weird to see, because it's not a coupe anymore, or a muscle car. It's actually an electric crossover. While it does hold the Mustang badge at the front, and it does have a lot of power, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right for some reason.
It's like something's missing.
I've seen a couple on the road. I don't think they're officially sold here yet, but a few of them have popped up every now and then. And I think there's a Mark 1 somewhere. Is that the one? Wait, which is the top of the line? What's the top of the range one? Is it the Mark 1?
I think so, but I'm not 100% on that either. Like, I looked into it initially, but then it wasn't my cup of tea, you know? Now, the Dark Horse is something that, you know, I was quite interested in learning a bit more. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not necessarily sure. I don't want to like, dip into something that I'm not 100% about.
That's fine. We both agree that electrics are cool, but
Yeah.
what you really want is that grunt. You want that V8 muscle. You want that.
And when you
not that-
downshift, you want the blah, blah.
Yeah,
the verbal.
I'm a big fan of motorsports. I can never get into Formula E because it just sounds like a bunch of RC cars going around in circles. Granted, it's a phenomenal piece of motorsport, but it's just, for me, is the sound bothers me so much.
True. Very true.
Let's go back now on the subject of dubizzle. You've used it a number of times. Of course, you've been here for 12 years, so
Yes.
you've probably used it a fair more than I have. I think I've used it 3 times in my life, and I
Okay.
bought 2 cars, and I don't know, I sold 1 thing on dubizzle, and that's my extent of using the platform,
Okay.
even though I work for dubizzle. So what do you think of dubizzle? I mean, you've seen it grow.
Yes, I have. From what it was 12 years ago, well, I've been here for 12 years, but I could never afford a car back then. So now we're looking at like a 9-year mark when I bought as a matter of fact, I bought my first car on dubizzle.
Okay.
It was a white V6. It was actually a Roush Mustang. Reached out to the buyer, and I was so excited. The thing is, I had never driven a Mustang in my life.
Okay.
Because back then in Sri Lanka, there are no Mustangs, right? So it was just this idea of a car. And it was just like this dream of mine to get behind the wheel. But I didn't even know anyone that would like allow me to drive that car at that point. Plus, I didn't necessarily have my license when I was looking into the cars. I was just obsessed about, I was literally on dubizzle all day, every day, and every night, just looking at cars. And I was like, oh, this would be great, this would be great. But then the day I was getting my license and I was on my way for the final test, I aligned 3 appointments to view cars soon after the test on the assumption that
you were gonna
I'm
pass.
going to pass on my first try. Okay. And you know how difficult it is to get a license here,
Mine was a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, hand it over the dash.
No, amazing not. We'll get to that later. I'll tell you more about it. I don't want to deviate from the subject.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about this.
So yeah, and then I went on dubizzle, reached out to a couple of buyers, and it was such an easy process. Reached out to them, they agreed. And of course, I'm inquiring about a car, so they were assuming I have my license. And, I was pretty confident in myself that I was going to get it on the first try. So when the examiner, and once post the exam was like post the test being done, and I was just like, I'm going to be late for my meeting to drive my first Mustang. And then, like, thankfully, I got my license. So I just walked up to the guy.
I thought it was going to take a different turn.
No, it went through. So I was like, yes. I go to the car, I get inside, and then he's like, oh, could you just pop the trunk for a second? I need to get something out. And I'm like, where's the trunk? How do I do that? And then he's like, oh, the automatic switch is off. Just switch on the lights because it's dark outside. I was like, and I'm looking, and usually in Sri Lanka, I'm used to, or the cars I've driven at least had the 2, out of the steering wheel. So I could like switch on the lights on one side. I got in the Mustang, it's on one side. So I'm like, oh no, where are the lights? So the guy was really looking at me like so confused because I was so young. But again, if you're looking from a dubizzle perspective, from me, from the ease to finding that car, yes, it's been great. And watching dubizzle sort of evolve into this like completely new, I don't know, I would say giant in the country, that everybody relies on it purely for, as a matter of fact, not just for cars, for everything, is just incredible.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of In the Driver's Seat with dubizzle. Shaaid, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
me. And we
me.
look forward to inviting you back again because I want to show the users a little bit more about that one-off that you have here because
Yes.
I'm pretty intrigued myself. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.